Welcome to a quiet road in the dark, where headlights drift like ghosts across the asphalt and time feels just a little out of place. Tonight, I'd like to tell you a story, one that's been told before, passed along between truckers at late-night diners, whispered by high schoolers at sleepovers, or retold in fading ink on yellowed pages. It's the story of a girl, a passenger some remember, but no one can prove was ever really there, a hitchhiker, who always needs a ride home, but never seems to arrive. This is the tale of the vanishing hitchhiker, and over the next few hours, we're going to follow her trail wherever it leads, from lonely highways to crumbling farm roads, from the cities we know to the places time forgot. Let's begin in 1976, October, just outside Pine Hollow, Oregon. Robert Harlan, 38, foundry worker, recently separated, was heading home after a long shift. The radio was broken, the bottle in the glove box wasn't, and outside his window, the rain fell in a slow, steady rhythm. He turned off Route 29 looking for a shortcut. Didn't remember ever seeing the turnoff before. Didn't really care, he just followed the road, and that's where he saw her. A girl, standing still by the roadside. She wore a white dress, not the kind people wore in the rain, thin with a lace hem, torn. Her hair hung wet and dark, clinging to her face. No umbrella, no shoes. Robert slowed the car without thinking. He would say later that he didn't feel afraid. He felt drawn. She didn't wave him down, just stood there, still as glass, looking at him. He asked if she needed help, and when she spoke, her voice was soft, barely louder than the rain. "I need to go home." He let her in. The seat stayed dry. She sat quietly, folded her hands in her lap. He asked her name. She didn't answer. She gave him an address, just outside of town. He didn't recognize it, but said okay. She stared out the window, watching the trees pass. At one point, she murmured, "They never found me?" And that was all. When he reached the house, she opened the door and walked into the fog. He watched, waited, but she never reached the porch, just vanished into the mist. The next day he went back. There was no house, no mailbox, only a crumbling stone marker, half swallowed by vines, a name carved into it. Abigail Lynn Carter, 1951 to 1972. Robert's story isn't the only one. There are others, and they span decades, states, generations. Tonight we're going to hear them, piece by piece, and see how the same girl or someone like her has stepped into the cars of strangers, only to disappear just as quietly. A woman named Camille, retired nurse, was driving home after visiting her sister. It was nearly midnight. She was on a stretch of road with no cell service and very little traffic. She saw a girl walking along the shoulder. Camille slowed down, rolled the window down, and asked if she needed help. The girl looked about 17, wearing a denim jacket and a faded blue skirt, hair pulled back. She nodded and said, "My house is just up ahead." Camille unlocked the door. The girl got in. But when Camille reached the spot the girl had pointed to, there was no house, only trees. She turned to ask the girl to clarify, but the seat was empty. The car door had never opened. Camille told herself she must have imagined it, but the strange part came the next day. When her niece heard the story and asked, was her name Carrie? There'd been a girl by that name, killed on that stretch of road in 1973. Audio recordings from a local paranormal podcast documented a man named Ethan, 22 years old at the time. He was driving late, around 2 a.m., and saw a girl by the roadside near the old church ruins. She wore a prom dress. He thought it was a prank, but when she stepped into his car, he swore he felt a pressure in the seat, felt the cold. She said nothing the whole time. When he dropped her off near the lake, she whispered, "They still look for me." And then she was gone. What do all these stories have in common? Different decades, different clothes, different names, and yet the same themes repeat: a girl alone, a silent ride, a destination that no longer exists, a disappearance. Sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't, but they always ask for a ride home, and they never arrive. Is she a ghost, a memory, a warning? Some folklorists say it's just a story, an echo of grief, dressed in different clothes for each generation. But others believe she's still out there, waiting. And if you're driving late at night, if the roads are quiet, and your lights catch a girl in the rain, well, you'll know what to do. That's the end of our first journey. In part 2, we'll go deeper. Follow her through older records, hear the stories no one wants to tell, and ask the question no one has answered. Was she ever real? Or are we the ones who vanish? We continue our journey back down forgotten highways, through ghost towns and winding roads that never appear on a map. In part 1, we heard stories, witness accounts, moments that never quite added up. And now we look deeper. Because stories don't just float in from nowhere. They leave traces, letters, voicemails, newspaper clippings, things left behind by people who couldn't let go. In 1981, a journalist named June Marrow began researching a series of vanishing hitchhiker sightings in northern Oregon, specifically near a town called Whitlow's End. The town, already on its last legs, had suffered 2 floods, 1 fire, and the loss of its local rail line. By the early 80s, it was nearly abandoned, but people still saw her, still gave her rides. And June, well, she started collecting the stories. She didn't write articles, didn't publish. What she left behind were letters, dozens of them. Each one addressed to a girl named Anna. June Marrow, letter number 3, "Dear Anna, tonight a trucker came into the diner and swore he saw you again." Same stretch of old Route 9. "You were in a yellow dress this time. I asked if he saw your face. He said he didn't look. He didn't want to." June's letters grew more personal, more desperate, less like a reporter, more like someone haunted. Some say Anna was her daughter. Others say she never existed at all. One of June's final letters included a cassette tape. She mailed it to a folklore professor named Dr. Howard Greeley in 1983. On it was this recording. She's not a ghost, not exactly. She's an echo of what wasn't finished. She changes clothes, names, but it's always the same look, like she doesn't know if she's real anymore. That tape was never aired until now, before Whitlow's End, before Abigail Carter, before cassette tapes and campfire tales. There was a police log in Illinois, 1957. A beat cop, Hank Dobbs, filed a routine report. White female, 18 to 20, possibly intoxicated, picked up at Route 72, disappeared before reaching destination. No ID, no trace. The incident was dismissed, but over the next 6 years, similar reports surfaced. Kansas, 1958. Girl in graduation dress disappears after prom, Tennessee, 1960. Hitchhiker asks for help, vanishes at Crossroads, Arkansas, 1963. Woman matching same description, seen walking barefoot into woods. Different names, same presence, always asking for a ride home, and always never arriving. One local story came from a mortician in Dentonville, Arkansas. He remembered preparing a young woman's body in the 1960s, unclaimed, no ID. She matched every hitchhiker description before it became folklore. He buried her without a headstone, just a marker that read, "She passed through." Years later, hikers found a dress buried under the old trail, white, torn, still faintly smelling of river water. In 2006, a young woman named Kayla left a voicemail on her mother's phone at 2:14 a.m. She was on her way home from a camping trip in Nevada. Voice was shaky, barely audible. Kayla, voicemail, "Mom, I'm okay. There's a girl on the road. She says she needs help. The call cut off. Kayla was found the next morning, asleep in her car, doors locked. When asked what happened, she didn't remember picking anyone up. But the passenger seatbelt was buckled. A trucker in Montana sent a Polaroid to a local ghost story forum. It shows the side of his truck, lit by floodlights. A girl stands in the photo, half blurred, back to the camera, hair covering her face. He swears no one was there when he took the photo. The post was deleted 2 days later, but the image still circulates, usually without context. If you map the sightings, a shape forms, a circle, stretching across Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, parts of Colorado and Illinois. A web of forgotten roads, back trails, detours. Inside that web, one constant. Someone is always trying to get home. Interview with Dr. Greeley, 1989. It's not about the ghost, it's about repetition. The same sadness replaying in new clothes. A trauma echo. Like an old vinyl skipping at the same phrase. He never published a book, but his notes mention something chilling. The hitchhiker may not be one spirit, but many, all drawn to the same unfinished feeling. Unclaimed grief has weight. It leaves fingerprints. She is not gone, because she was never finished. The vanishing hitchhiker isn't a ghost to be feared. She is a memory too stubborn to let go. A name half remembered. A voice left on a tape no one plays anymore. A road sign no longer standing. Next time you drive alone, if you see someone by the shoulder, eyes distant, dress wet, asking for a ride home, ask yourself, are you the one helping her, or are you the one who's already gone? In part 3, we'll follow the last known driver to vanish after giving her a ride, and the one man who says she spoke his name. If you're still with us, you've followed the story this far. You've walked the roads she walked, listened to the voices, watched the patterns repeat. You've heard the laughter at midnight, and you've seen the places where she never should have been. But this story isn't done with us yet, because the thing about vanishing hitchhikers is that they never vanish completely. They leave marks, not scars, not screams, but echoes. Tonight, we follow those echoes. In the summer of 1994, a trucker named Levi Powell filed a report from Nebraska. He didn't believe in ghosts, hadn't even heard of the story, just thought he picked up a teenage girl outside a grain elevator off Route 91. She didn't talk much, just gave a first name, Anna, said she was trying to get home. The weird part? She didn't say where home was. She disappeared when Levi stopped for gas 20 miles down. Never opened the door. Never left a footprint. His truck's passenger seat was damp. That night, he bought a disposable camera and snapped a photo of the empty seat. When it developed, there was a smudge. The exact shape of a girl in a white dress. Parapsychologist Dr. Leslie Hume called it a convergence haunting. In her research, quietly published in 2002 and later withdrawn, she theorized that certain spirits are not bound to one death, one identity, or even one location, but to a narrative. Her theory: these hitchhikers are not ghosts of individuals, but collective trauma wearing the same face. Multiple people, multiple tragedies, all converging under one appearance, a young woman, lost, always seeking a ride, always fading by dawn. She tracked 72 sightings across 15 states, and then she vanished, her last voicemail? I think I found where she starts, but it's not where she ends. An anonymous trucker handle, Roadcap, submitted a tape to a late-night paranormal show in 1986. It was never aired. This is a transcript from the tape. 1:14 a.m. Breaker 19. Anyone got eyes on the northbound stretch past Chandler Creek? Just saw a girl out here. White dress, no shoes, looked right at me. 1:15 a.m. Wait. Number, she's in my mirror, but she's not in the cab. 1:16 a.m. This isn't funny. My lights just cut. My dash is... She's whispering something. Who is this? No one ever identified the voice. The tape was mailed in. Return address, blank. In 2019, a woman named Ruth Eddings came forward after listening to the original podcast's Part 1. Her email was short. Just said, I think I was her. I think I was the one people saw. I hitchhiked across Colorado in 1973. Wore a white dress every day. I died, but I didn't. We met Ruth. She's real, lucid, clear, not delusional. She remembers people staring at her in fear. She remembers getting into a car, seeing herself already seated. She remembers trying to get out and not being able to. They saw me because I was looking for a way back in. We received a batch of unsent letters, found in the attic of a house slated for demolition outside Whitlow's End, all addressed to Anna, all dated in different decades, all in the same handwriting. Dear Anna, you weren't supposed to be there that night. I tried to stop it. I saw it before it happened. And I watched it happen anyway. I see you in every face, in every window, in every passenger seat I pass. Come home, please. In our last week of production, we received a tip. A dirt road outside Liberty, Missouri. Locals call it Anna's Turn. It doesn't appear on maps, doesn't show up on satellite, but if you drive down Route 72 and turn right after the fallen mile marker, you'll see it. Just for a moment, and if you blink, you'll miss it. We drove it. There's a turn, a shadow, a soft light. And then, nothing. We played a recording from our truck. You can hear the tires. You can hear the engine. And then, you hear a second engine. Ours was the only vehicle there. You can stop looking, or you can keep driving. Some stories don't end. They just turn around, again and again. Some roads loop. Some names are echoes. Some girls in white never left. They were never there. But somehow, they still are. Stay tuned. The road isn't done with us yet. You found your way back again? Back to that stretch of road that isn't marked on any map. Back to the voice that you don't quite remember recognizing. And back to the story of a girl who was never supposed to exist, but keeps showing up. I'm glad you're here. This is the Vanishing Hitchhiker. She was never there. Part 4, the motel that wasn't there yesterday. There's a motel just outside the edge of the known. A lonely building flanked by fields and pine trees, humming with vacancy. You don't plan to arrive there. It just appears. A flicker of neon in the corner of your windshield. A soft chime behind the check-in desk. No one greets you, but the keys are already laid out. One of them has your name. The desk log says a woman named Anna checked in, room 6. She didn't leave a checkout time. She never does. A trucker from Illinois, name redacted for privacy, called into a late-night station. He says he passed a girl on the side of Route 81, barefoot, bleeding from one foot. She waved him down. He swerved. She vanished. Later that night, that same girl was heard on the air. She was talking on the radio, I swear to you, said her name was Anna, said she forgot where she was going. Only one problem. The station had shut down 6 years earlier. A man named Joseph mailed us a shoebox. Inside, a receipt from a gas station that doesn't exist, a motel room key with a tag from 1971, and a photo, sun-faded, of him standing beside a girl in a white dress. He doesn't remember the girl. His wife swears she took the picture. But she doesn't remember pressing the shutter. There's something deeper happening now. Not just sightings, but insertions. Memories that aren't yours, receipts from trips you didn't take. And yet, the handwriting looks familiar. The woman who cleans room 6 at the motel doesn't speak much English, but when we asked her if she ever saw Anna, she said, "Siempre está allí, ella nunca se va." She's always there. She never leaves. Then she described something strange. Every time she cleaned the room, the mirror was fogged, like someone had just stepped out of the shower. But the towels were dry, and the water never ran. She stopped cleaning room 6. She leaves it unlocked now. Says it's for Anna, in case she comes back. We received multiple reports of a stretch of road that loops. Not figuratively, literally. People drive for hours, then pass the same diner, the same roadkill, the same billboard that says, "Anna, please come home." They try turning off. The roads are gravel, then dirt, then forest, then fog. Sometimes they make it out. Sometimes they find the motel. Sometimes they don't remember ever driving at all. We checked into room 6, not because we had to, because we couldn't stop ourselves. There was a letter in the nightstand drawer, written in a shaky hand. No date. If you're reading this, you found the room. Maybe she sent you. Or maybe you were always part of this. I don't know anymore. I remember things that didn't happen. I hear her humming through the walls. I think I'm forgetting my name. Tell Anna. Tell her I'm sorry I left her on the road. There's no signature. Only one smudged thumbprint, and beside it, a motel receipt, room 6. Check-in date 1989. Checkout blank. Next time you're driving late at night and you see a sign for a motel that wasn't there yesterday, don't stop. Or maybe you should. Maybe you're already checked in. This is the Vanishing Hitchhiker. She was never there, and we're not done yet. Stay tuned. She's still out there. You remember that drawer? The one in the motel room. It opened with a sound like a sigh, as though it had been waiting for you for a very long time. The letter, the receipt, the humming that didn't stop when the drawer closed. Most people would have left it there, walked away, checked out, but you didn't, because you're not just traveling anymore. You're following something. And tonight, the road feels like it's following you back. The motel parking lot was empty when you stepped outside. Not quiet empty, but the kind where your footsteps sounded wrong, where even the night air felt paused. You turn the key in the ignition. The headlights cut across the vacancy sign. Still glowing, checked in. Out on the highway, the lines rush past under your wheels. Except you notice something strange. Mile markers. Repeating. 40, 41, 42, 40, 41, 42. And then you see him. Standing by the guardrail at mile marker 42. He's dressed like a trucker from another decade. Denim jacket, weathered cap, boots dusted with road grit. His thumb's not out. He's just waiting. You slow the car. The man steps toward the passenger door, doesn't look inside, just says, "Been waiting for the one who stops." That's you. You ask who he's waiting for. He says a name you've never heard, but he says it like it should mean something to you. Before you can reply, he points up the road and says, "Take the turn after the river. Don't look in the water." When you glance back in the mirror, he's gone. The bridge over the river feels wrong before you even cross it. The railings look too new for such an empty road. And there's that sound. Not just the rush of water, but a thin, whispering static riding on the wind. You pull over. Down by the riverbank, half buried in the mud, you find a small transistor radio. Its plastic is cracked, knobs rusted, but it's on. Through the static, you hear voices, faint, overlapping, some pleading, some laughing, and one, clear as day, saying your name. The turn after the river takes you to an abandoned rest stop. The vending machines are empty, their glass cracked. There's a mailbox bolted to the wall, and inside a box full of letters. They're all addressed to different towns, different people. But every return address is the same. The roadside motel, room 6. The letters are unsent, some unopened, and on more than one, the handwriting matches the one from the letter in your motel drawer. You keep driving. Hours pass, but the sun never rises. When you finally see lights again, it's another motel. The same peeling paint, the same buzzing vacancy sign. But this time the sign says, "Rooms available." Inside, the clerk doesn't ask for your name. He just hands you a key. Room 6, again. The room looks like a mirror image of the last one you stayed in. Everything reversed. The bed on the other wall. The nightstand on the other side. The drawer closed. You don't open it. Not yet. At exactly 3:17 a.m., there's a knock at your door. 3 knocks, pauses, 3 knocks again. You look through the peephole. The hallway's empty. But when you step out, there's a photograph lying on the floor. It's a picture of you, standing by the guardrail at mile marker 42. The same look the trucker had, the same stretch of road, but the timestamp in the corner says August 8th, 2015. When you check the date on your phone, it says August 8th, 2025. You've been driving for days, or years, or maybe the road's been driving you. And in the quiet of that motel room, you finally open the drawer. Inside is another letter. It begins. If you're reading this, you're almost home. It's strange how the road remembers you. I've driven so many miles since this began, crossed state lines, slept in motels where the lights never stopped buzzing, read letters that didn't belong to me. And yet, every turn has curved back toward the same place. Mile marker 42, the place where I saw her first, and the place I'll see her last. The sign is older now. Not that time has passed, but that I have. The paint's gone from the numbers. The post leans a little to the left, like it's tired. And here, buried in the weeds, the faint glint of something metal. The last letter, inside just one page. The date, August 8th, 1985. And a location, a bridge. The same bridge I'd crossed in part 3 without knowing it mattered. She's the only one still alive who saw her. Her name's Marianne. She doesn't remember me, though she swears she's met me before. That's how these stories work, until they don't. Marianne say, she was always wet, like she'd just come out of the river, asked for a ride, never said thank you, never said goodbye. You just looked over, and she was gone. Marianne tells me it was always August 8th, always the same moon. And every time she was headed for that bridge. The road to the bridge feels longer tonight. The headlights don't push back the dark. They only show you how deep it is. And then, there she is. I don't pull over. I don't have to, because she's already inside. Hitchhiker say, "You've been driving a long time. You were never looking for me. I was looking for you." And in that moment, it all breaks open. The letters, the dates, the way she always knew where I'd be. She wasn't a ghost, caught in a loop. She was leading me back. Hitchhiker say, You left me on that bridge, August 8th, 1985. I waited. I still am. Her voice is warm, not angry, just finished. And when I look over, she's smiling. The bridge hasn't changed. Steel ribs over black water, the same air, heavy and cool. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I just sit there. Hitchhiker say, thank you. She's gone. Not vanished, just gone. And I think she always will be. The sun is rising. I've driven the last mile. And for the first time in years, I think the road has let me go.